42-year-old businesswoman and socialite recalls her first sexual experience was non-consensual and happened at the age of 15.
You're sitting on a chair, staring at a wall all day long, getting yelled at or hit, and that was the worst of the worst.
Paris Hilton has gone through hell in Hollywood. Ever since she was a kid, her school teachers were preying on her. Then, by the age of 15, some men picked her up at the mall and then took her home to drug and physically harm her. Paris is exposing all the trauma in her life, so let's get into it. Paris Hilton is sharing dark and traumatic stories from her past that nobody saw coming. The headline reads, Paris Hilton shares that she was drugged and R-worded at 15 after meeting a man at an LA mall, which is so scary. There are so many malls in LA, and 15-year-olds and just young people in general. This really could happen to anyone. It looks like she's sharing about these stories because she has a memoir coming up, and she did a special in Glamour magazine.
There was so much shame. Paris Hilton is opening up like never before about her dark past in the February issue of Glamour UK, where the 42-year-old businesswoman and socialite recalls her first sexual experience was non-consensual and happened at the age of 15.
This is a triggering story because Paris did not consent. She was 15, and there are so many graphic details. Paris Hilton has revealed that she was drugged and R-worded as a teenager. Talking to Glamour UK, she shares stories about incidents of abuse and trauma. She also talks about an encounter with a high school teacher and a frightening run-in with Harvey Weinstein. So what the heck? Paris has so much to talk about. Like, this book is going to be wild. So Paris was a kid at the mall with her friends. Actually, they were at the Century City Mall, which is a very nice mall. It's a little bit past Beverly Hills, but it's great. It seems safe, but it's really not.
She was drugged and raped when she was 15 years old after meeting a group of guys at the mall with her friends.
Going to the mall was one of Paris's favorite things to do, but when she was there, she met a group of older men. One of those men ended up assaulting her later on. Paris was quoted saying, "One day they invited us to their house and we were drinking these berry wine coolers. I didn't drink anything back then, but I had maybe 1 or 2 sips. I just immediately started feeling dizzy and woozy. I don't know what he put in there. I'm assuming it was a roofie." After that, Paris blacked out. She completely went away, had no idea what was going on. I don't know what happened to her friends or if she just went alone with these guys, but if her friends were there and left her, that would have been like a really bad friend. Paris ended up waking up a couple hours later and knew something bad happened. Quote, "I remembered it. I have visions of him on top of me, covering my mouth, being like, you're dreaming, and whispering that in my ear," which sounds like a nightmare, like American Horror Story, like what is going on? Like, this sounds so traumatic. I cannot believe that Paris has gone through this.
Paris says she woke up a few hours later and knew something had happened, explaining, "I remembered it. I have visions of him on top of me, covering my mouth, being like, you're dreaming, and whispering that in my ear."
She's so brave for opening up about this because there are so many instances where other people have gone through the same thing, and probably there are some people out there that need to hear this story so they can understand that they can't do this to other people. The article writes, it was her first experience, but not the first time she encountered abusive behavior at the hands of an older man. Now let's talk about this teacher, because you think you send your kids to school. I'm sure she went to a private school or something very nice, and you would assume that they are safe, but they're not. She was quoted saying, "I was just a young girl and I got manipulated by my teacher." Quote, "He took advantage of a young girl, and that was something I blocked out as well. I didn't remember it until years later. He would call me on the phone all the time, just flirting with me, trying to put in my mind that I was this mature woman. One night, he showed up to her home and persuaded her to sit in his car with him until her parents arrived home, and he sped off with Hilton still in the car. Wait, hold up. Paris was quoted saying, "We only kissed, but if my parents didn't come, imagine what he would have tried to do. We literally drove through Bel Air at like 100 miles per hour. We were going so fast and somehow we got away from them through a red light. He was freaking out and drove me back home to Bel Air, and he told her to get out." To this day, I've not talked about it with my family. I've never told anyone. I don't know what it was. I just felt so ashamed by the whole situation just from the beginning at such a young age, and it really stuck with me in a weird way, which it really actually sounds like a lot of trauma, and I feel so bad that Paris had gone through that because it sounds like she was like sexualized like really young, which happens to, as you can see, it seems like everyone. You guys may remember that Paris did a documentary, This Is Paris, and in that documentary, she started to really open up as a character because we've seen her over time do a lot, DJing, The Simple Life, but her like raw moments really started to show in This Is Paris, and it seems like we're gonna get more and more of that, which I'm really excited to learn about because I mean these stories are not only really scary but like lessons that other people can learn from. Paris talking about Provo Canyon really opened the conversation to the troubled teen industry, and people started to understand how bad it is there and how it's a human rights problem.
The last school that I went to was Provo Canyon School. And that was the worst of the worst. There's no getting out of there. You're sitting on a chair, staring at a wall all day long, getting yelled at or hit. I felt like a lot of the people who work there got off on torturing children and seeing them naked.
That sounds like prison, and I think it's hard for people to wrap their mind around Paris being in a situation like that because she comes from privilege and celebrity, but it seems like a lot of these stars go through hell living in the industry.
Where she was force-fed drugs, sent to solitary confinement, and subjected to late-night gynecological examinations. Through tears, she concludes, "I just get so emotional thinking about it. I was just a little girl. I just feel like they stole my childhood, and it's heartbreaking that it's still happening to so many kids today." In March 2021, Paris testified in a Utah courtroom about the alleged abuse she suffered at Provo Canyon School.
It's so nice to see Paris do that work to try to actually change policy. I mean, that is notable. At this point, I shouldn't be surprised that she has an interaction with Harvey Weinstein because she's been in the industry for so long that, of course, she's come into contact with Harvey and he has creeped on her. If you guys don't know who Harvey Weinstein is, he's an old film director who used to be powerful but super creepy, and now he's super criminal, and ultimately he started the Me Too movement. I mean, it was about time, but he kicked it off. And Paris shared a story about Harvey. She was quoted saying, "I was at lunch with my girlfriend and he came up to the table and was like, 'Oh, you want to be an actress?' And I said, 'Yeah, I really want to be in a movie.' And she said she was a teenager, super impressed by him. So she said, 'Oh wait, like Harvey Weinstein is so cool. He came up to us and he told them that they should have a meeting. You can come up to my room and read scripts.' But she didn't want to go, so she never went. And good thing she didn't, because that seems to be a theme where he would tell these women, 'Oh, you want to be an actress? Then go up to my hotel room and read some scripts.' And then they go up and he's like butt naked. But that wasn't it, because the very next evening, Harvey Weinstein followed her into the women's restroom. Quote, "I went into the bathroom and he followed me. He tried to open the door. He was hammering on the door and banging on it, and I wouldn't open it because I was like, 'I'm in a stall. Why do you want to come in here?' And I just wouldn't open it. And then security came and literally carried him away. He was like shouting, 'This is my party,' going nuts. It scared me and freaked me out." Wow, that sounds really scary. Like, what? What do you want to go in there and like do something to her and like, oh, it was his party? Like, ew, that is so nasty. But it looks like her new book is coming out very soon. So there's gonna be a lot of stories in there. And if you guys want me to talk about them, comment below. There's also other topics that Paris is gonna be talking about in her book. And I think she's gonna talk about one moment from her 20s that really stuck with her.
A survivor, Paris is now using her platform platform to speak out for other women, opening up for the first time about her decision to have an abortion in her early 20s. She tells the magazine, "This was also something that I didn't want to talk about because there was so much shame around that. I was a kid and I was not ready for that." Compelled to speak out amidst the Supreme Court's decision to repeal Roe v. Wade, the Paris in Love story explains, "I think it's important. There is just so much politics around it and all that, but it's a woman's body. Why should there be a law based on that? It's your body, your choice, and I really believe in that."
I'm glad that Paris has literally created a space where she can go and speak about this. Like, she's putting out documentaries, books. She does so much. It's so impressive, and she still has time to go and advocate for other people.
There's 150,000 youth that are sent to these places, and they're being physically, verbally, emotionally, and abused, and there needs to be a stop to this. So I'm here for the Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act, and just to educate lawmakers and senators on this very serious human rights issue.
So kudos to Paris. I want to hear what you guys think about this video in the comments below. Let's go ahead and open this letter. It looks like it's from Anatomiko. Hi Sloan, I hope this letter finds you well. My name is Ivana, and I am an artist from Puerto Rico. My art is a mix of human anatomy and nature. With the concept, I make print and stickers. Wow, this is so sweet. I love your work and often put on your videos in the background while I draw or pack orders. I'd love for you to have a palm tree and a palm tree and a spine? Oh, a palm tree spine? Is that what it is? Wow, cute. I love that. I hope you enjoy. And it's waterproof. Wow. Thank you so much, Ivana. And I'll link everything below. And look how... Oh, it's called... That's what I couldn't pronounce earlier. That word. But look how cool this is. It is really cool. It's like a palm tree spine. I hope I see one of those in Hawaii. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. I'll link everything below. And I'll see you in a new one soon. Oh, I need to go sleep. Good night, guys.